Hello, hello mga kamaharlika! Ayan, mga ka-Eat Bulaga! Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Eat Bulaga, maharlika! Ayan, pag-usapan natin yan mga back-to-back na itong mga developments sa ating bayan, sa ating minamahal na bayan mga kameta. Ayan na, so now ang labanan is Maharlika Fund by Cam. So, bantayan natin na mabuti yan. And let's also look at the voting record because mga kameta, si Riza Hontiveros na naman once again ay lone voice of the opposition and some would argue the genuine voice of the opposition ay nag-no dito sa Maharlika Fund version na pinasa last night or kanina umaga ng ating Senado. No, but we have to watch very carefully dun sa bycam version kasi kailangan pa harmonize no yung version na meron tayo sa lower house of Congress at dun sa Senado, no. So let's discuss that very shortly, but before that mga kameta, pag-usapan din natin ito, no. Eat Bulaga, buyaka siya. Kanina nga, anong pangalan nung isang parang comedian nila na kasama nila doon? Na meron siya dyan sa parang malapit sa Scout Borromeo. Basta yung comedian nilang kasama. Anyway, nakalimutan ko yung mga pangalan niya. Siyempre mga kametang, Eat Bulaga po, Eat Bulaga ay napaka malapit sa ating puso. Hindi naman dahil nanonood tayo ng Eat Bulaga recently over the past 10, 15, 20 years or so. Pero mga kameta, ito mga kameta. Marami tayong mga formative years memories bilang mga millennial. Lalo na yung mga medyo mas matatandang millennials. Marami kang mga formative memories dyan na pag-usapan na natin na mabuti. So, mukhang Eat Bulaga is also leaving GMA Network. Hindi lang pala ako. So, hindi lang si Willie the other year, but ngayon Eat Bulaga, another big entertainment staple dyan sa GMA Network is going out, and there are speculations that it may move to the other big network. May posibilidad maging kapatid sila, no? Mga kameta, pag-usapan natin yan. But by the way, before going into this Maharlika or Eat Bulaga Maharlika conversation mga kameta, let me mention once again ito dun sa mga nag-follow up kasi marami nagtatanong na ano ulit yung pangalan ng restaurant ng ating pinsan, no? Mukhang hindi naman siya nagalit dun sa mga sinabi natin dyan. Ayan, ito. Make a Wish. Ayan, sa Ibiza yan. So kung dumaan kayo sa Espanya, mga kameta, daanan nyo yan. Ito po yung nagbukas ng bagong page itong pinsan natin na Make a Wish. Yan, ang yummy ng mga food doon, no? Make a Wish restaurant, authentic Italian pizzeria restaurant, pero may mga Filipino twist dyan. This is in San Antonio, Ibiza, España. Alright? Okay mga kameta, tignan nyo naman. Wala pang bayad yan ha, wala pang sponsorship yan ha. Libre yan. Para sa bayan. Then talagang magaling itong pinsan natin. So please check out the page, follow, Make a Wish. Yan, Make a Wish. Follow na yan Parang may pagkano yun parang may show na Make-A-Wish ba yan sa GMA dati ba yan? Anyways, so please check out Make-A-Wish Restaurante, Ibiza, España. Who knows, next thing you know, there'll be branches all around the world. Pati dito sa Pilipinas. So please check it out. And please follow yung page. Kaya di kayo pupunta sa España or Ibiza, at least follow the page and check the yummy food there. Diba? Lalong-lalo na yung mga mahilig mag-intermittent fasting na katulad natin. Diba? Like, sabi ko, nako, mahirap to. Di na tayo kakain yan, diba? Kasi twice a day lang tayo kumakain. At we try to put 15 to 16 hours difference, no, between the meals. Yung last meal of the day and the next meal of the next day, no? But parang pag tinignan mo itong mga pizza na ito, parang, wow! So guys, paki-check yan So congrats again sa pinsan natin. Ayan, so yung mga nagtatanong ano ulit, ito pinost na natin yan. Alright. Balikan natin itong issue na ito, Eat Bulaga and Maharlika Fund. Don't worry dun sa Maharlika Fund, I have a lot more to discuss. Speaking of sige na nga, unahin natin ang Maharlika Fund. And then let's end na lang sa Eat Bulaga. Or no, let's just do it the other way. Ito na lang mga kameta. Speaking of ako, kasi nung high school namin sa Baguio, especially nung time, kasi may time na nasa public school tayo nag-aaral. So shoutout naman dyan sa mga high school natin dyan sa Baguio City yan. Kasi may mga times mga kameta, parang kasi may times na nakistay din kami sa lola namin. So akyat ka ng bundok all the way, abot ka ng Marcos Highway, yon Marcos Highway, Solid North. And then akyat ka na naman doon sa bundok. So yun yung mga everyday kong ginagawa. Kaya actually, a part of me says, siguro dapat mas matangkat pa ako. Siguro easily 6'1" dapat sana kaysa mga 5'10", 5'11", mga ganun. Kasi yung akyat everyday, napakahirap yun eh. No, and one thing I remember very well dito sa Bulaga is, ito, magka-class tayo. Lumalabas na yung chest hair natin. And then like, during lunchtime kasi, may mga times, umuwi ako, bumababa ako sa bahay. Yan, all the way down, lunch, and then akyat na naman for the class. At yung parating pinapanood sa bahay pag uwi namin, ayan, Bulaga. So, you know, it's, andyan yan, yung mga ganyan memories, hindi yan mawawala. Now, for quite some time, mga kameta, meron mga bali-balita na medyo alanganin itong situation with Bulaga at former Senator, Senate President Soto was pushing for some sort of rearrangements there. At mukhang eto na, final na po yan. Mukhang alis na talagang Bulaga. Hindi lang sa GMA Network, it looks like it, but mukhang dun sa totally, no? Itong arrangements na meron sila para let's get this right, no? Okay. Ayan, napahinga lang ng sandali ang issue ng Bulaga ng sinabi ni Vic Soto sa nakaraang MediaCon na upcoming GMA Senscom na open 24/7 na nabayaran na siya ng malaking pagkakautang sa kanya ng Tape Incorporation. Alam niyo naman saan related na yan. Wait lang. You know what? Okay. Ito. Baka maano tayo dyan. Let's be careful Don't worry guys, pupunta tayo sa Maharlika Fun. Unahin muna natin itong Bulaga na ito. Kasi Bulaga, Maharlika, diba? Ito. Okay, so Bulaga, so GMA apparently surprised na Bulaga is departing. Says Tape has block time deal until 2024. So medyo issue yan kasi siguro expectation nila one more year pa mag-stay. So GMA Network is saddened by the quote unexpected departure of its noontime show almost after 30 years. So halos ka-age pala natin itong Bulaga na ito, no? Grabe, no? 30 years na halos pala itong Bulaga. At ito yung ayon so depart siya dun sa kanyang producer, yung Television and Production Exponents or Tape Incorporation. Sa isang statement, sinabi ng GMA, we are saddened by today's unexpected turn of events with regard to Bulaga. In the same statement, sabi ng GMA na it still has an ongoing block time agreement with Tape, which said that Bulaga was supposed to air on GMA at least until 2024. So that's what more than 6 months or almost 6 months, no? So GMA has been the home of Bulaga for many years, and we still have a block time agreement with Tape until 2024 for the noontime slot. So I don't know anong gagawin nila dito. What's the situation here? GMA, however, did not address yung rumor transfer of Bulaga to another network. Mukhang yung, at pag-usapan natin shortly yan. So together with all the Filipino fans, we pray for a swift resolution of their issues. Maraming salamat sa patuloy na suporta, mga kapuso. Yan ang sinabi ng GMA Network, which of course, for disclosure, was my former employer, one of my longest employers for almost one of my, ka-employer, mga ganun, for a very long time. Now, ang balita is, mukhang pupunta, or at least, yun yung balita na baka pupunta na sa TV5, no, which is the next other big media network. Wait lang, nasan tayo pumunta? Ayan, post natin dito mga kameta. So, ayan na. Nagliliparan na lahat sa TV5. The new big one ba yan, diba? And TV5 was actually supposed to have a deal with ABS-CBN also, although naskattle yan because of alam nyo na, yung mga nagpo-pushback dyan sa Kongreso, among others, yung mga katatay, etc. So, ito. So, some are thinking na most baka lilipad na sila sa kabila. Alright, so, yun po yung news na, so, basahin yan sa PEP. Diyan yung news na mukhang pupunta sa na TV5. As I said, the media landscape is very dynamic, is very in flux, and tingnan natin if that could also help boost TV5 to become the premier, no, media network in the country, no, after spending a lot of time in the shadow of the two big ones, no, ABS-CBN and GMA Network. So titignan natin yan, mga kameta, no. So this is gonna be very interesting. Of course, alam natin ang Bulaga ay napakalakas. Na naalala ko, there's a time na pati si Vice Ganda, di ba, napasalita na siya na nako, mahirap talunin yan. At I think, of course, one of the cultural phenomenon na na-create itong Bulaga was yung Aldab, di ba? Well before BTS, well before lahat ng mga drama na yan, there was Aldab. I mean, there was a time na I think yun yung pinaka-trending ever in the history of Twitter or something like that. And to be honest, the sociologist, the sociological analyst in me, no, is wondering what was really behind it. May mga nagsabi na hanggang ngayon may fans club pa rin ng Aldab, among others. Si Maine pala nasa rin pala sa TV5. Anyways, tapusin natin itong showbiz na ito. I just had to say it because of course malapit sa puso natin na Bulaga back in the day. At malay mo, baka papunta na rin sila sa TV5, no? Anyways, balikan natin ito more, another serious issue, which is or some would say actually the serious issue here, is yung Maharlika Fund, mga kameta. Okay, balikan natin ito. So, first of all, mga kameta, let's look at the voting record. Boom! That's it. Yan. Dito natin makita, mga kameta, sino talagang totoong opposition, no? So once again, mga kameta, Riza Hontiveros is the lone voice of opposition. So hindi benta sa kanya yung mga proposed amendments, hindi benta sa kanya yung mga sinasabi na, may safeguards naman tayo dyan, huwag kayong mag-alala, diba? Hindi bumenta sa kanya. And Riza Hontiveros is the only one, once again, who said no dito sa isang major legislative initiative ng kasalukuyan na administration, no. So Mig Zubiri, Loren Legarda, Joel Villanueva, Sonia Angara, Alan Peter Cayetano, Pia Cayetano, Bato de la Rosa, JV Eresito, Jingo Estrada, Win Gatchalian, Bongo, Lito Laban, dyan pa pala sila, Robin Padilla, Grace Po, Bong Revilla, Francis Tolentino, 3 masters na yata siya ngayon. Wow, galing talaga. Rafi Tulfo, Cynthia Villar, Mark Villar, ayan, talaga, only in the Philippines, ang dami mga Okay, lahat yan nag-yes, and then nag-abstain. Si Nancy Binay, ayan, talaga Nancy Binay strikes again. At least nag-abstain siya. Hindi siya nag-abstain siya. And then, interestingly, may mga absent, no? Coco Pimentel, who's supposed to be part of the minority, head of the minority leader, when in fact Rizon Tiveros is the real opposition here. And then Francis Escudero and Amy Marcos, yung mga absent. So at least si Nancy Binay, medyo nag-abstain siya. She kind of signaled her misgivings about this. Now, ang malaking tanong dito, mga kameta, is this. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And let's look at people na kilala natin. So, first of all, let's go to my former professor. Isa sa mga former professors natin, si Winnie Munsod, of course. Ayan, ayon kay Ma'am Winnie Munsod. Oh, by the way, mukhang bagong follower natin din siya ngayon sa Twitter, ah. Hindi follower natin siya. Ayan. My former professor and my also fellow Twitter follower. Ayan. Biglang hindi na pala. Hindi. Nagpa-follow pa rin siya. Nagpa-follow pa rin siya. Yun. Yan. Okay. Hindi. So, may comment si ma'am, si Professor Munzot, parang ayon sa kanya, parang medyo na-railroad yan. Parang hindi masyadong 100% itong sinasabi na scrutiny, review, etc. So she remains very skeptical, very, very skeptical of this. And she sees it as quote-unquote a political move, mga kameta. Political move. Yun ang nakikita niya. She doesn't see much of an economic rationale to this. Because wag natin kalimutan, mga kameta, ang Pilipinas is isang net importing, net borrowing country na lower middle income country. So many would say it doesn't make sense at all for a country like the Philippines to have anything like this, especially if kukuha ka ng funds kung saan-saan, hindi rin stable masyado yung pension funds natin, yung dividend situation natin here and there. So, I don't know. Oh, ayan, sorry. Kinorek tayo ni Peanut na. Hindi. Peanut, 28 years sa GMA Network. Oh, 40 years na si, 40 years plus na Bulaga. Ayan, sorry, I just saw the... No. I was referring to, yung showing on GMA. Katulad ng nakita natin. Kasi alam ko yung Bulaga itself is much older. Much older than yours truly. Alright. Okay. Okay, balikan natin. No, so for her, it's a political move. And balikan natin itong mga kameta. 1 second. Now, in fairness, one of the person that have been checking in terms of commentaries and analysis, or actually a number of person have been checking in terms of commentary analysis. First of all, itong economist na si Enrico Villanueva, he had a very interesting itong matrix, no? Kung saan pinapakita niya yung difference ng investment fund ng Indonesia at Pilipinas. Because remember, I said a while ago, net importing, net borrowing, lower middle income country. Well, the closest analog we can find is Indonesia. Although Indonesia is now, again, upper middle income country, and their trade balance and fiscal balance situation is quite different from the Philippines. Nevertheless, yun ang sabihin natin closest to the Philippines. The closest apple and apple situation that we can find. But, ayon ito kay Enrico Villanueva, even here you can see some big difference here. You can see some big difference, diba? Because dun sa Indonesia investment funds, it's about attracting investors and funds. Dun sa Maharlika Fund daw to seek higher returns on funds currently used for development finance. So may pagka-redundancy ba dyan? Governance board ng Indonesia Investment Fund, may supervisory board, formed board of directors chosen from finance and professionals. Headhunters and investors were consulted in selection. Management contract between supervisory board and their board of directors. And in comparison, dun sa Maharlika Fund, at least in one version of Maharlika Fund that we're seeing, walang supervisory board that controls board of directors. There is a passive advisory board which cannot do meeting nor control function. At yung board of directors are primarily political appointees, not necessarily technocratic. Again, dun sa Indonesian Investment Fund, pag tinignan mo, yung alignment with laws and standards, may consultant, PwC was hired. So ito yung big financial consultancy firm was hired to ensure that itong investment fund ng Indonesia followed yung international standards and laws. Pagdating sa Pilipinas, Philippines seeks exemptions from local laws and global risk standards, etc. So, yun yung kanyang version of if you look at the country that is closest to us that has already established an investment fund in a much better global investment equity markets climate, iba yung itsura ng kanilang investment fund. At yun yung medyo concern dito na it doesn't even follow the Indonesian standards, no? Kaya yung ibang kaibigan natin katulad ni Cleve Arguelles have mentioned their doubts about whether the safeguards vis-a-vis the Maharlika issue are sufficient, no? Considering the Philippines' very poor track record in terms of fighting corruption. Just look at the Philippines ranking in terms of corruption, in terms of transparency and accountability, no? Obviously, iba yung kay Lenny Robredo because consistently nag-top siya doon sa alam nyo na, doon sa Commission on Audit, no. Now, so na-approve na yung na-approve na ang Senate version, so we have to watch the bicameral. Now, interesting, one of the other person I've been watching in terms of their commentary, also of course because I get my views and I triangulate my views and juxtapose my views all around, and one of them is of course JC Punong Bayan, who's one of the more vocal and prominent critics of the Maharlika Fund. Now, as you may know, a few months ago, may konting mga disagreements, etc. Kami on some macro policy issue, and of course, my contention was that wag tayo mag-turfing dito, no, and when we talk about issues of policy, this should not be just left to economists. Interestingly, JC Punong Bayan had similar sentiments when it comes to not just blindly following, sinasabi naman technocrats sa government. So sabi niya, hoping for more critical reporting of Maharlika, please don't just echo what the econ managers are saying. They're not infallible. Exactly the same thing goes for academic economists. In fact, they're turning a blind eye to the myriad red flags of Maharlika. Now, interestingly, JC has had a number of good interventions that I retweeted or shared, or I think you guys have to check on your own. See, I'm very open-minded. I'm a good guy. You know what I'm saying? I check around. Even if I disagree with some people here and there, no problem. If may merit yung argument nila, I'm willing to check it. All right. So, in fairness kay JC, he zeroed in on a number of issues. No? So, first, yung Section 10, allowing Marlico to issue bonds. No? So, yung issuing of bonds to raise funds, some of the observers are having some serious issues about this. No? Na baka malubog pa tayo sa utang kung mag-issue ng bond. So, issuance of bonds, Section 10 ng Maharlika Fund. Pakicheck niyo yan on your own, mga kanay. Sorry, I'm pressing. Pakicheck din niya yan. So, we have a lot of our friends who are... Ba't napunta sa NASCAR? Ano nang napapress natin dito? No, so we have good friends here who are really checking a number of key details. Now, JC also correctly pointed out that if you look at the Philippines, we are actually a net borrowing country from the rest of the world. So this is the numbers we're seeing. So as a net borrowing country, does it make sense for us to pretend that we have a lot of extra funds that we can gamble, or we can have risky investments or diversified investments, whatever, right? Okay, so yun yung sinasabi nila. I think these are some legitimate points that are being raised. In fairness to Enrico, in fairness to JC and some of the economists in the Philippines who are really scrutinizing the latest version. Ako naman, mga kameta, para sa akin, babantayan dapat din natin itong final version nito. Another person I suggest you guys to follow is also a good friend of ours from college days pa, si Suzara, budget babe, who also raised criticisms or her doubts about yung claim, especially by Senator Villar, na itong Maharlika Fund will help raise investments in the Philippines. And there was even a claim na NEDA said daw, 30,000 jobs will be created or something like that. So I think our good friends Enrico, JC, and Suzara, I think they have some very interesting tweets based on data, based on legitimate analysis about yung mga gaps na meron tayo dito. So I really suggest you guys to check it on your own. For me, I think Winnie Munsod really has something to say when she argues that this is fundamentally a political move rather than an economic move. And I'm glad that their economists who do a lot of political analysis, the same way that, political scientists and historians should not necessarily be barred from making economic analysis when they know a thing or two also about the basics of policy making, etc. Anyway, I want to end on this note because kahapon, mga kameta, marami nagsabi, wait lang, bakit parang pinupush mo ito si Tulfo? Parang tuwan-tuwa kay Tulfo. No, I was just explaining how Tulfo is emerging as a strong alternative to Sara Duterte within their, let's just call it the Uniteam demographic. No? That will be an interesting thing. Sara Duterte versus Tulfo fight 2028, it's like Bongbong Marcos running against Sara Duterte in 2022, which didn't happen. But this could happen later on in 2028. So that's one base. But I always mention that if you look at the opposition or the alternatives or genuine opposition, really Rizal Ontiveros should be on the top of our minds, even though I know that there are many diehard supporters of Leni Robredo out there who want to still see Leni running for the highest office or Leni staying around, politically speaking. No? And as I said, I think Leni should run for Senate and also look at her options come 2028. But in the meantime, what's not speculative is that Rizal Ontiveros is already there. And Rizal Ontiveros is already the leading opposition figure and arguably the only real opposition figure out there at the national level. Now, marami tayong mga opposition figures dyan sa lower house, in the Congress, not to mention the Makabayan bloc, among others. But if you look at the national elected office, it's really Rizal Ontiveros who perfectly captures the definition of progressive liberal opposition in the Philippines. And yet, mga kameta, I just don't feel that there's enough support, enough highlighting, enough traction generated for the very legitimate, consistent, conviction-based, principle-driven interventions that she has made. Alright? Ayun lang. And surprising also, I think, I never had a chance to actually interview her. Of course, we reached out to many different senators, etc. For some reason, her office was not very responsive. But alam mo naman tayo, mga kameta, di naman tayo desperados to get interviews with people. But again, for me, in fairness to Riza, she has stood her ground consistently. But I believe that she definitely deserves more support from the opposition, including supporters of Leni, who are quite huge in numbers. Because Riza is fighting the good fight, And Riza is fighting this fight sometimes alone, right? Now, as I said, good to see that Tulfo does X, Y, and Z, but he's not opposition. And he's not a progressive, right? He's not. So that's where Riza comes in. So let me end on that note and also say that mga kameta, bantayan natin ng mabuti itong bicameral because doon natin malalaman, doon magkakaalaman na ano magiging last version ng Maharlika Fund. And once it looks like it's a foregone conclusion, once napasa ito, bantayan na natin ng mabuti yung mga practices and dynamics within Maharlika Fund, including itong issue ng bond issuance, no? Because if Maharlika Fund can raise funds, etc., borrow money here and there, and then things go wrong, mas lalong malulubog ang Pilipinas sa utang. Kawawa na naman tayo, mga mga kameta. Anyway, thank you very much once again sa lahat ng mga sumusuporta sa atin. Salamat kay Noemi Tablate, Piloso Potasio, yan. Ayan, mamayang Rizal na tayo. Maraming salamat kay Eden Olonan. Thank you very much kay Mia Fresnido, as always, kay Romel Tala, kay Arjun Khan, thank you very much, kay Madrigal Heya, Mia Fresnido, Marla Escobar, Nemia Supetran, ayan, kay JC Sorenses, yan, maraming nagmamahal sa atin dito, thank you very much, of course, always, si Ma'am Jocelyn Lumberi, thank you so much for your support, ayan, si amigo Salvatore, buenos dias, alright, kamusta, almost buenas noches, okay, mga compañeros, thank you very much again. I think this was a good conversation. Eat Bulaga Maharlika. Yan. And don't forget again, paki-follow yung cousin natin yung bagong restaurant niya. I'm not doing this just because he's my cousin. I mean, marami tayong mga kamag-anak. No? But the point is, mga kameta, right? In fairness naman, I know this guy knows his stuff. He went through the fire, diba? When he was in Rome, he learned the tricks of the trade. He is an authentic Italiano-style chef, but also he loves the Philippines and he wants to do fusion. So please support him. At the very least, at least follow him on Instagram and like his stuff and show support, show love. Because mga kameta, mahirap maging negosyante. Lalo lang kung Pinoy ka, abroad ka, you have to deal with a lot of issues. Mahirap maging negosyante. So please show support for young businessmen, for people who want to put the Filipino food, Filipino talent on the map. Maraming salamat, muchas gracias, and see you soon. God bless.